Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC Fight Island 7, Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. And Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night in Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. You already know the deal. Max Holloway wants another shot at Alexander Volkanovski. And if Kattar wants to get a title shot, you know there's no better way to secure a title shot than to go out there and defeat the great Max Holloway.
Yeah, Max Holloway. I mean, we can't forget at one point this guy was on a 12-13 fight winning streak with wins over Anthony Pettis, Jose Aldo, Lamas, Jeremy Stevens. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, Calvin's been able to pick up some really good wins as of late. And we know Calvin's always got the potential, and now this is finally his opportunity, man, to finally possibly, put his name up in there in the title contention. I mean, he's got a chance to skip, some guys that he lost to, like Zabit, so, this is a good opportunity for him.
It's a massive opportunity, and not only does he get the chance to, I wouldn't say skip the line, because you beat Max Holloway. That's a title shot worthy win. But there's going to be a lot of eyes on this fight, Shaq. This is the first time the UFC is ever on ABC. Like ABC, dude, like we can just fucking put it on. I forget what channel is, what channel 5, channel 11, some shit. But bottom line, you don't even need Direct TV or Dish Network to watch ABC. So there's going to be a lot of eyes, and they picked a very stacked main card, Shaq.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing about Max Holloway, a lot of eyes, because a lot of other fans, are feeling for Holloway right now. They feel as if that he was robbed the last fight, and it would be unfortunate. What's he lost? 3 out of his last 4. So if he were to lose, I know the fans are pulling for a Holloway victory. Everyone would love to see the Blessed Express back in business, this weekend. And look, that last fight was very close. It was very controversial. It is what it is. They awarded. You can't lose the championship rounds like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. But, I feel like it's a lot of eyes because, look, Calvin's team, man, they're on a roll right now. Rob Font just knocked out Marlon unconscious, and Calvin was there. And, my boy Tyson's got an opportunity to have 2 number 1 contenders here soon.
Yeah, I mean, the New England Cartel, shout out to Tyson Chartier. He's doing some great things over there with them. And I mean, look, with Max Holloway, we're going to talk about it when we break down the fight, but it's like he won the first 2 rounds versus Volkanovski so comfortably that he literally coasted the next 3. I mean, he's going out there between rounds, making signals to John Anik and shit. It's like, dude, who gives a fuck what they think? Like, you got Volkanovski in front of you. And really what it came down to in my eyes, Shaq, was the first 2 rounds were clear for Holloway. The 4th and 5th were clear for Volk. I thought the 3rd round was the swing round, and that's basically what determined the entire fight. Very close fight. So we're going to break down this whole card start to finish. But before we do, got to let everybody know, listen up, fellas. 2020 sucked. It's finally the new year, which means new balls with our sponsored Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, offering precision-engineered tools for your family jewels and helping 2 million men all over the world get rid of hair on their balls. If you let yourself go in 2020 while in quarantine, Manscaped is here for you to reboot and stay clean shaved in 2021. And man, I know firsthand how much 2020 sucked. The lockdowns, not being able to go anywhere, not being able to see people, you can't go to concerts, you can't do shit. So I know firsthand, I feel y'all's pain. But Manscaped is here to give you a fresh start in 2021 with their Perfect Package 3.0 that has all the right tools for the job. So come out of quarantine with clean balls thanks to the Lawnmower 3.0. And this waterproof and skin-safe trimmer will reduce nicks to your 2 best friends. This 3rd generation trimmer even has a light to give you a little bit of that glow that you need in 2021. It's also time to freshen up down there with the new Crop Preserver, which is the anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits, so why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? And, for on-the-go freshness, you'll love the Crop Reviver. My boy Shaq knows straight up about that Crop Reviver with the aloe vera and hazel extract. Look, 2020 was awful, so make sure your boys are refreshed and ready for the new beginnings in 2021. Manscaped even threw in their new Shed travel bag to keep all your goodies stored comfortably. Look at this fucking badass toiletry bag they sent with all their stuff. And it even came with these boxer briefs, anti-chafing boxer briefs, which I highly recommend to make sure you feel your best down there. A guy with hairy balls is like the year 2020. Do not be that guy. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code BATTLE20. Happy New Year's to your balls, Shaq.
Yeah, man. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. So, make sure y'all go and get those Manscaped products and feel good about yourself.
Yes, sir. They also got some badass cologne, the body wash, the crop preserver. They already hooked us up with all that, so make sure y'all check them out. Use code BATTLE20, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping. Now, Shaq, let's get right down to business. I think the fans are here for one reason and one reason only, to break down this fight between Jacob Kilburn and Austin Lingo. Just kidding, but we got to get down to business. This is the first fight on the card. We got Jacob Kilburn, who is 8-3, taking on Austin Lingo, who is 7-1. And currently, they got Austin Lingo minus 215. The comeback on Jacob Kilburn is plus 181. So, Shaq, this is interesting, man, because you and I know Jacob Kilburn from the regional scene. He even had a face-off with our boy, Nasty Nate Williams, and then the fight ended up not happening because Jacob got the Contender Series call. Here's the thing with Kilburn. He gets his ass beat every single fight, win or lose. And he even said in his interview that he went to ATT for this camp and, thinking that, hey, we're going to make some improvements in our game. He said that they beat his ass so bad at ATT that they had him pissing blood and rethinking his career every single time he went home. And I took it a step further because I got friends that train at ATT. So I hit up some of my boys at ATT to find out exactly what the deal was. People that have trained with him that I know, they said they absolutely mopped the floor with him in literally every area. And I'm talking about guys 2 weight classes below him, Shaq. If you're not on Austin Lingo's level, he'll run through you and treat you accordingly. And if you're not on Jacob Kilburn's level, you'll still beat his ass and maybe he'll get a comeback. Jacob Kilburn would make Chase Hooper and Peter Barrett look like future world champions. And I'm not kidding when I tell you I would lay chalk on Chase Hooper and Peter Barrett against Jacob Kilburn. Now, when you talk about Austin Lingo, it's unfortunate that his UFC debut went the way it did, especially with the way he was lined. And because he was such a big favorite and he performed the way he did, I mean, people are kind of down on him now, but I truly believe if that fight was lined how it was supposed to be lined, which is, minus 300 is the law, and the fight went down how it went, I think we'd be saying, hey, Lingo's a pretty tough guy. He got up from every takedown. He kept going forward. He takes the center of the octagon. He's a very tough guy. I simply think that, not to be disrespectful, but I think Jacob Kilburn might actually literally be the worst fighter in the featherweight division. And I got the entire roster over him, Shaq. So I'm going to pick Austin Lingo to come out here, get another one-punch knockout. If he wants to test his wrestling, he can come out here and take down Jacob Kilburn. Kilburn has no business in the UFC. After this fight, we'd love to have him in the NFC. I'm going Austin Lingo for the win, Shaq.
Yeah, Kilburn, he's not very good, man. He's flat-footed. He's got a good left foot, but this ain't Javanis Ross anymore.
Javanis Ross, who's coming off 3 knockout losses in a row.
So yeah, definitely know him from the where is he from? Like Tennessee or something like that. Yeah, the local scene. And yeah, man, Lingo, I just feel like he fought Billy Quarantillo, but Billy Quarantillo, man, that was a vicious, hellacious whooping, man. I was like, as where like Austin Lingo, like, yeah, he got his ass whooped, but after I heard his interview, I mean, he said he was pretty much worn out by the time the fight even got there because, it was a super late notice call. And I don't think anyone could have seen it being that wide just because Zalal had, if I'm not mistaken, lost like 2 of his previous 3 fights before that to like, jobbers like Mariscal and some other guy on the local scene in LFA. So, I wouldn't, it was hard to see that coming, but when you actually hear the backstory, like Lingo it was super late notice. He said he had to do all this fucking medical and paperwork shit and fucking something that he was never used to. And then by the time he got to the fight, he just wanted it to be over, man. So it was like, I feel like, you give him a full camp. I definitely feel like he's the. I mean, look, Jacob Kilburn. We were trying to get him to fight. We were trying to get him to fight Nate. So I don't. Yeah, I mean, look, he's got a left hook, but so does Lingo, and I feel like Lingo moves forward a little more aggressive. Probably a little bit, at least sounds a little bit more confident in himself. Kilburn doesn't sound too confident, man. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll go with Lingo.
So I wanted to share a DM with you. I'm not going to actually tell you who sent it. I'll tell you off air, Shaq, but of someone that trains the ATT that trained with Kilburn, because I had to find out what the deal was. And this is what this person said. Oh, Jacob Kilburn, dude, he is not ready. I've trained with him numerous times, sparred, wrestled, everything. I dominated him multiple times, and I'm not kidding, man. And he also said, I got to find the thing he said about the boxing. Hold up. He said that, okay. He said, yeah, I'm going to bet big, but I haven't seen Austin fight. When I tell you I boxed him up, I was landing every punch. So I see no reason not to bet Austin. That's what someone that trains at ATT had to say. They literally landed every punch, and this is a guy smaller than Jacob Kilburn. But anyways, just had to throw that out there. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Sarah Moras, she's 6-6, and Vanessa Melo is 10-8. Currently, they got Sarah Moras minus 230. The comeback on Vanessa Melo's plus 190. Shaq, I mean, traditionally speaking, we ain't laying no minus 230 on Sarah Moras. The thing is, like, similar to Kilburn, you think Vanessa Melo kind of fits that mold where, like, she ain't winning no UFC fight no matter what?
Man, I actually did watch tape on this fight. It was very painful. It's just one of those things. There's no reason anyone could possibly explain to me that she should be lying more than 2-1 in this fight, or yet alone any fight. And I'll tell you why, man. I feel like we've seen we've seen a large sample size out of her, and yeah, she does have real UFC wins over Evan Smith and Joe Jua, but Evan Smith is she's complete shit, and Melo might be as well, but at the same time, I don't feel like Melo's really gotten a fair opportunity, a fair fight. I mean, look what Melo's been in there against, man. Irene Aldana, who's a top-ranked fighter. Tracy Cortez is a top prospect, in my opinion. Carol Rosa is a top prospect, in my opinion. I've seen Moras in there with people like Talita Bernardo, and she couldn't even get the win. You know what I'm saying? So, and Lucy Pudilova, like, chicks that aren't even in the UFC anymore, and these chicks were able to drop her and get wins against her, man. So although Moras has the ground game going for her, I actually took a look at both girls' Instagrams. Melo's coming in super lighter for this fight, man. She's dropped some pounds. I think she had some weight problems, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of those 3 fights were super short notice, man. So, like, this is her first chance to get a full camp. Sarah Moras can't even beat Talita Bernardo. So, like, why the hell? And another thing, people are saying she looked the best that she had against Sajara. I think that's a bad take, man. I think Sajara is a big gasser. I think Sajara is a big underachiever. And yeah, Moras is a little bit of a scrapper, but I mean, she still lost every single round, man. So it's like, I've already seen the best of her. I don't think I've seen the best of Melo. And one thing you can say about Melo is she's durable. She's never been finished, so hey, maybe she can throw more punches and touch Moras up. I don't see why anyone would be playing -2 something on Sarah Moras, a chick that lost to Talita Bernardo. So, we'll see.
I'm glad you brought up that Bernardo fight, and the reason why is because my original argument was going to be like, hey, if the bookies set Moras -230, there's probably a reason behind it. But then you find out they set her that versus Bernardo too, and she lost that fight. So it's one of those things. And then with Melo, she's missed weight all 3 of her UFC fights, so she can't really be trusted either. I'm glad to hear she's been shedding pounds. I mean, I guess it is a dog or pass situation. I'm really not sure which way to go. I'll take Sarah Moras, but I mean, do not lay chalk on Sarah Moras is all I got to say. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between David Zawada, he's 17-5, and Ramazan Emeev is 19-4. Currently, they got Ramazan Emeev -260. The comeback on David Zawada's +220. I mean, Shaq, we've been talking about Ramazan Emeev for a long, long time. I mean, we used to call him the clinch master. I mean, if you take a patient approach against a guy like Ramazan Emeev, he's winning that decision all day. But do you think that David Zawada can make this that dirty fight, make it gritty, get that output going and just outwork a guy like Ramazan?
No, man, I don't. I think Ramazan. This is one of his typical fights. Don't get finished and you win, man. It's pretty simple. I think Zawada is exciting and he does press forward, but you got to think about who he was fighting in those fights. Those fight of the nights versus Jingliang. Jingliang gets dropped in literally every single fight for the most part, and then Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts also gets dropped in pretty much every single fight, man. So, and just his grappling mistakes, man, that's what really sold me as this is going to be an easy win for Emeev. He just makes too many careless mistakes. He tries to do the sacrifice throws, the big hip tosses, and that's not going to work here. And yeah, he is very active, and I guess the knock against Emeev is the Russian coast style, but Emeev's never allowed anyone to bully him, never allowed anyone to press him back. I mean, the only guy that beat him was Rocco, and it was just because Rocco had better boxing, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like Zawada is exciting, but he makes too many mistakes in the grappling. His cardio ain't the best, and his striking really ain't the best either. I feel like Emeev's better everywhere. Just has to avoid the big shot, and he'll get the decision win. So a dude named Ramazan ain't losing in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I mean, listen, David Zawada is a very tough guy. His fight with Danny Hot Chocolate was a fantastic brawl. I highly recommend you guys watch that fight. They just went at it for 3 straight rounds. It was very exciting to watch. Even in his fight with Jingliang, he went out there, dropped him in the first round. As Shaq pointed out, Lee's been dropped 5 times in his UFC career, so it wasn't much of a surprise. But at least we know that, when David puts his hands together, he can put people down. And then off his back, he's very active, not just in the submission win over Nurmagomedov, but even in these other fights, like the Danny Hot Chocolate fight. He's definitely very active.
Real quick, he didn't tap out Khabib, guys. He tapped out his shit cousin. And his cousin, I've seen his cousin sparked by Ukrainians in PFL, so just putting that out there.
It's even his cousin, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I've heard like 100 different dudes that are Khabib's cousin.
He ain't even his fucking cousin, really. It's just a friend, but
I mean, they're about as much cousins as the Shevchenkos are sisters.
Exactly.
But that being said, look, it's just about, can he stop the Russian coast? Like I said, you go out there and you play a patient game against a guy like Ramazan, he's gonna win this decision all day. But if you can really make him work, that's where you can beat the guy. I'm just not quite sold on Zawada yet. I think that he can get taken down. I think that he can get stalled out. And I just don't think he's got I think he's a tough guy. He just doesn't have the athletic tools. So I'll go with Ramazan Emeev via decision. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a match between Justin Tafa. He's 4-1. And Carlos Felipe is 9-1. Currently, they got Carlos Felipe at -185. The comeback on Justin Tafa is +160. So Justin Tafa, he's got a bit of that Mark Hunt game going on, but he's still very inexperienced. Carlos Felipe has been doing his thing, man. He had a tough fight against Sergey Spivak, won his last fight against De Castro. Now they're matching him up here. It initially opened kind of a pick 'em with a slight lean on Felipe. Now he's a bit of a wider favorite. What do you think, man? You think Tafa can catch him with that big bomb, or you think the experience of Felipe will, pay dividends here?
Hard to say, because Tafa, it does seem like he's got good counters, but there's only limited film on him, and on his local scene, I mean, dude was getting taken down by like middleweights and shit. So, it's like hard to really judge him. He did make a mistake, and personally, I think he's better than De Castro. I just think he made a mistake there, and got caught heavyweight. The margin of error is small. I gotta go with Felipe just because I've been more impressed with him. This fight with Spivak, that fight kind of led me to think that Spivak, I think he's got a fight lined up here soon. I'm high on him, and Felipe he hung in there, man. He got his ass beat, but he kept moving forward for a big, heavy guy. I mean, he came in a little slimmer. He didn't have to cut to 265 for the second fight against De Castro, and the volume was on point. I know De Castro gasses out, so maybe the line is a bit wide just because it's heavyweight, and Tafa, we don't know. I mean, he's been out for a while. Who knows? He's super young in his career. He could have made a big leap in his improvement. So Who knows? But I got to go with Felipe. I just feel like he's got more experience, throws more punches with the punch count, mixes it up to the body. But and he seems good defensively too. You know, I know Spivak popped his head back with the jab, but his second fight he looked good. So we'll see. But I don't know. It could be a dagger pass.
Yeah, listen, I've called Justin Tafa's 2 UFC fights correctly. The first time I bet De Castro, and then the second time, we ain't never picking Juan Adams in no UFC fight, Shaq. And shout out to Justin Tafa for exposing that complete fraud and getting him out of there exactly how you're supposed to. And it's funny to me that people were laying chalk on Juan Adams against Justin Tafa, making up this angle about how he's going to use his alleged wrestling to win the fight, when the fight prior, he got knocked out on a takedown attempt against Greg Hardy. I know Shaq remembers that. But with Felipe, I just simply feel like he's farther ahead than Tafa at this point in his career. He's already had 10 pro fights. He's had, double the fights as Justin Tafa, and they are heavyweights, so anyone could get caught, but I'm gonna have to lean with the experience of Felipe, and I think if he drags this one out, that the odds will swing in his favor. So I'm gonna go with Carlos Felipe here. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Omari Akhmedov, he's 20-5, and Tom Breese is 12-2. Currently, they got Tom Breese -150. The comeback on Omari Akhmedov is +130. So with Breeze, I mean, we know he's a very talented guy, man. And shout out to Breeze for handling that guy, KB Bueller, exactly how you're supposed to. We called that one right. But this ain't no KB Bueller anymore, man. It's back to fighting another UFC mainstay. Do you think those big Russian bombs of Omari Akhmedov can discourage a guy like Tom Breeze? Or you think Tom Breeze can use that good boxing, kind of extend the fight and take advantage of a tired Akhmedov?
Man, this is one of the tougher fights to call, in my opinion, just because I don't know. Breeze definitely has talent, but we know the mental side is in question at times, but maybe that last fight was what he needed to find. But it's like Omari would. I mean, you put Omari in there with KB Bueller. I mean, it's gonna get ugly too. You know what I'm saying? Omari might toss that. Omari might toss that dude out the cage. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, look, Omari's last fight was kind of disappointing just because, but I will cut him a little slack. I will say, definitely underestimated the wrestling ability of Chris Weidman. He can definitely still get them single legs and do his thing with the grappling. So I just feel like that style of fight, man. Man, and look, he's gonna gas out regardless. I mean, that's just his frame, his muscle. He gasses out every fight, but it's And I don't know, man, because Breeze hasn't done shit. And it's like, I see the talent. He's got good boxing. He's got a good jab, a good straight jiu-jitsu. I don't like the wrestling. Brendan Allen kind of exposed that. I do feel like he has some England wrestling in his thing. I feel like Omari could capitalize. I'm having a hard time. I do feel like things are pointing to Breeze, like, Omari couldn't capitalize on that. I still think Weidman looked like shit in that fight, but Omari wasn't good enough to capitalize on a washed up Chris Weidman. Where does he go from there? Now, my gut tells me that maybe he should still be the favorite. We're talking about a guy that went to draw with Vettori, beat Ian Heinisch. He, beat Razak Al-Hassan when Razak Al-Hassan was actually, undefeated. Like he's actually done more things. So I'm thinking maybe he has done more to be the favorite, but yeah, look, he gasses out, and if Breeze comes in building off the last one, he does have the skills to make Omari gas and possibly even knock him out in the late rounds, as we've seen dudes do before him, like Serginho Elizu and Chris Weidman, 10-8 third rounds, Ian Heinisch won the third round. So yeah, look, I'm a pick Tom Breeze. I that's what my gut tells me things are trending in his way, but from a betting perspective, I am a little nervous just because it's hard. This dude don't have any social media, so it's like I can't keep up with him. I don't know what he's doing. From the sounds of it, after his last fight, he seems good, but it's like we can't forget not too long ago he quit against Brennan, and I don't care what anybody says, he quit. So, yeah, I guess he was trying to get his feet wet or whatever, but it is what it is. But I'll take him for the win, but I'll say by a close decision.
This is a tough one for me to call, Shaq. I really don't know, because it's like you got the nice crisp boxing of a guy like Tom Breeze. It's just like if Omari starts swinging those bombs and he lands a couple of them, is Breeze gonna, stay focused and stay on that game, or is he gonna get discouraged? And also, if takedowns start becoming a factor, then what? Because with the Weidman fight, I mean, look, there's no debate on my part that Weidman, is washed up, and a washed up Weidman did beat Omari. But there's also no debate that Weidman's wrestling credentials are up here compared to Tom Breeze. You know what I mean? And Weidman was.
That Weidman single leg is a thing of beauty, huh?
I mean, even the fights that Weidman loses, he gets that takedown. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like from the jump, as soon as the bell rang, he was immediately making Omari work instantly, which is something Tom Breeze ain't really gonna do. So, yeah, you're right. Look, Omari's gonna gas because that's what he does. I just think he'll gas a little bit later because he's not gonna have to work so hard to defend takedowns, then get some of his own. And, this and that. And, Weidman ain't no former welterweight. And one thing about Weidman, look, we can say what we want about all the times he's been knocked out, but Weidman ain't never quit in no fight before. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Omari for the upset here. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a match between Yanan Wu. She's 11-3, and Joselyn Jones is 9-2. Currently, they got Wu Yanan -120. The comeback on Jocelyn Edwards is +100. So, Shaq, when the UFC matchmakers were scouting out the female talent in China, so they go out there, they sign 3 people. You know who those 3 people are, right? We got Weili Zhang, who went on to be a world champion. We got Yan Xiaonan, who went on to be, in my opinion, a #1 contender. And then there's Wu Yanan. You know what I mean? And they talk about third time's the charm. Whatever the opposite of third time being the charm is, that's what Wu Yanan is. Redheaded stepchild, whatever they like to call it. Basically, she ain't a Weili Zhang or Yan Xiaonan. She was listen, she was the Chinese female that wasn't that good. You know what I mean? And in these fights she's been having, she got dominated by Gina Mazzani, Shaq.
Yeah,
she got dominated by Gina Mazzani.
Yeah, Gina Mazzani. Look, if you get dominated by Gina Mazzani, I mean, there's nothing else that needs to be said.
She got dominated by Gina Mazzani. What else do I need to say? And then the next fight with Lauren Mueller, she was a massive underdog. She got dominated the entire fight, and then she got an armbar off her back. Great win. I mean, she didn't look good up until then. But
Lauren Mueller sucks too.
Lauren Mueller ain't in the UFC no more. Next fight with Mizuki, I would actually say that's the best performance of Yanan Wu's career. Still a loss.
But Mizuki's a strawweight, so it's like even worse.
with Joselyn Edwards, she lost to Sarah Alpar, which is like, it's like, yo, cut, you know what I mean? But at least her next fight, and I know it was against a bum, but like when I see girls going out there and knocking other girls out, it stands out to me, even if it's against, a soccer mom. Because you don't often see people in that weight class finishing fights. And that liver kick she landed, that was devastating. Now, I'm just going to say that this is another big girl here with Joselyn, and she can knock girls out that are on that lower level. It's tough to call, man. I'm going to go with Joselyn for the upset just because I cannot justify laying chalk on Wu Yanan. And I tried it once before, Shaq, when she fought Gina Mazzani. You can't beat Gina Mazzani. I'm not interested.
I'm pretty sure she was the underdog there. But
was she the underdog? Let me check. I don't know. I don't remember. I just know that night was when I max bet Yan Xiaonan and my boy, what's the name of the Chinese dude that never fought again? The royalty guy that beat Alex Caceres?
Wang Guan.
My boy Wang Guan. So I bet on Yan Xiaonan, Wang Guan, they both won. And then I bet Wu Yanan, she lost. If you can't beat Gina Mazzani, I'm not interested. I'll go with the newcomer. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm actually familiar with Edwards because I remember when Alpar was fighting Rose Clark, I came across that fight that she had with Edwards. So I actually said on that show, if you go back, I said, I'm pretty sure this chick that Alpar just fought is going to get signed, even though she lost. I mean, it's just that her wrestling sucks, but the striking is on point. But the wrestling, I forget what country she's from, like
Panama.
Yeah, Panama. So I know it was a small country. So I know that her training is probably not the best situation. She probably needs to get the hell up out of Panama.
Move over here to the States.
Yeah.
ASAP.
But I see the potential. So I'm picking her for the win here. I think the chick striking is on point. Like super hard. She just got her stuff to take. That's what lost her the LFA title versus Alpar. She couldn't get out the clinch. She couldn't get out the get up from bottom, and it was bad, kind of like Jermaine Randomly, early stages, where like she just she doesn't know what to do. But on the feet, man, I see this. I mean, Mizuki strawweight little Jap was taking it to you, went on for a couple rounds until she got tired. I mean, with the extra 10 pounds. So, I feel I definitely got Edwards here. I feel like she's just more talented, more potential, and probably lands the harder shots.
Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a showdown between Nassourdine Imavov, the French sniper. He's 9-2, and Phil Hawes is also 9-2.
Wait, so is he French or is he Russian?
That's something we're going to try to figure out for the rest of his career. You know what I mean, Shaq? But currently they got Phil Hawes -140. The comeback on Nassourdine Imavov is +120. So I got to give you a lot of credit, Shaq, because you told me that, hey, like, look, those losses Phil Hawes took, he was like less than 10 pro fights into this whole fucking thing. You know what I mean? The Andrew Sanchez fight on top.
Not less than 10, less than like 5.
You know what I mean? The Julian Marquez fight. And it's like, when I go back and I rewatch that fight with him and Julian Marquez, to me, it's not even really about what Julian Marquez did right. It's more about what Phil Hawes did wrong. And it's something that Phil Hawes can correct in the gym. And it's just a pacing thing. I mean, he's an athletic freak. He hits like a truck. He's a D1 wrestler. He's got everything going for him. He just, need a little bit more cage time, needs to learn how to pace himself. And even though he hasn't been past the first round since that Marquez fight, I still have noticed improvements. Look, I know the guys he's fought have all sucked and this and that. I understand that. I'm not going to debate that. But I've noticed just in his effort, in his pacing, in his maturity, he's doing things the right way now, which gives me, reason to believe that if this fight were to go past the first round, that he might actually have something left. Now, with this guy, Imavov, the way to describe him is he's a dog. This guy comes to fight. He'll eat your best shot. So far he has. I'm not sure if you can hear, but so far he can eat your best shot, keep coming forward. And even when he gets tired, he can push. So if Phil Hawes hasn't corrected, that issue that he had in the past, this is a spot Nassourdine can take over. The thing is, Shaq, I think there's a chance he has corrected those issues. And I'm going to actually agree with the odds makers here. I'm going to go against the public action. I'm going to take Phil Hawes here. I'm not sure if it's a knockout. I'm not sure if it's a decision, but I'm going to go with Phil Hawes. Initially, look, I was interested in betting Imavov. Let's see if he wins, but I don't know. Phil Hawes has been looking better every fight, and with him, it's just a matter of just a little bit more seasoning and experience, and he's a pretty scary guy. So I'll go Phil Hawes. Let's see.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go with the Imavov there, but hey.
I was until I watched Phil Hawes.
Yeah, man, I'm actually really high on Phil Hawes, at least more than most. I just feel like this guy gets a bad rap of what happened early on in his career. Look, if I'm 2-0, 3-0, and I get a call to Ultimate Fighter, of course, yeah, you're gonna take it. But look, you fought Andrew Sanchez, lost. You know what he should have done after that? He should have. Go back to the NFC or wherever local, regional show. But this kid was so hyped up from the wrestling that they forced him into a fight with Lewis Taylor. Daniel.
Shout out to my boy, Lewis Taylor.
They forced him into a fight. Lewis Taylor was like 13-3. This dude had already lost a fight to Andrew Sant. Like, that was whoever his manager was should be the blame of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, not Phil Hawes. Like, I know Phil Hawes wasn't ready for no shit like that. Fucking Lewis Taylor just knocked out a Russian for $1 million the other, not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? And he fought Dave Branch. So I feel like Phil Hawes was weighing over his head. And then, I think he won a fight maybe in between, and they put him in Contender Series against Julian. We all remember how that went. But yeah, I see the maturity though. I mean, I think he moved to Thailand for a little bit. He said, he had to figure out if he really wanted to do this. And he said, all these people were telling him that he's this big freak athletic, but he didn't really believe it. He was like, I am? Really? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Imavov is good, man. Imavov, I'm impressed. Dude's got good boxing, but he fights with his hands down. But he's got good range, and good distance. So, yeah, that is a worry. We haven't seen Phil Hawes in the second and third, but I feel like, man, I follow this guy on IG. Like this dude's mental game is on point, man. I mean, the dude's been through a lot. His last fight, I just thought it was blatant disrespect to even say some bum. I don't even whatever the fuck his name was. Malcoon. Some bum. This dude could possibly beat Phil Hawes. I was like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, Phil Hawes is an athletic freak, an athletic specimen. Nassourdine, I don't think he's been underneath anyone like Phil Hawes, but look, it's going to be a good fight, but I agree with you. I think Phil Hawes can go in the second and third rounds. I feel like he's got good feints, good parries in the pocket. He just needs to manage that gas tank. But I feel like once he starts cornering Nassourdine, man, this could be a different fight than people think. Maybe even a knockout. We'll see.
Now, this fight I'm very excited for, Shaq, because next up in the middleweight division, someone's always got to go. We got Punahele Soriano, he's 7-0, and Dusko Todorovic is 10-0. Currently, they got Dusko Todorovic minus 155. The comeback on Punahele Soriano is plus 135. Shout out to both these guys. I bet on both these guys in their UFC debuts, and they both came through for me big time. I'm a big fan of both these guys. And for a lot of people, they're like, man, why they have to match up the two undefeated prospects? I don't feel that way, because for me, I want to know who the better guy is, and I have a feeling I know who the better guy is, and I think the better guy is Dusko Todorovic all day here. Now, listen, I like Puna a lot, not just as a fighter, but like even as like a human being. You hear any of his interviews, just seems like such a kind guy. I really like Puna a lot, and he came through for me against Pihota. How could I not like him? I've often referred to Punahele Soriano as Hawaiian Vitor. You know, we call Brad Tavares Hawaiian Bisbing. We call Punahele Hawaiian Vitor. You know, he's got that southpaw stance with that massive left hand, and he smells blood. He will blitz you with a big combo. Also, I believe he's a D3 All-American wrestler too, so he's got a little bit of wrestling chops in his back pocket. But when you're talking about this kid, Dusko Todorovic, man, there's something about this kid, man. He's very, very mature for his age. I think he's only like 25, 26, but something about him, man, he's got that real elite confidence about him. Like, and I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about confidence. Like, if you hear any of his interviews, like, you'll be pretty comforted when you hear him talk. Like, the guy, he's got his head on his shoulders and he knows what he's doing. And he's got such good experience outside the UFC, man. Like, he knocked out Michel Pereira back when he was only like 22, 23 years old. So he's been beating real guys for a long time, and he's got such a fantastic style for winning fights with his high work rate. He's got insane cardio, and in the clinch, when he starts to dirty box some of these guys, like not to like, you know, talking absolutes or anything, but like he has some of the best dirty boxing that I've seen in the middleweight division in a long ass time, Shaq. Like, I'm very, very impressed with Dusko Todorovic. And in addition to that, at distance, he's got great kicks, but he can also mix in takedowns too, man. He can take these guys down to the mat and pound them out too. Look, with Punahele Soriano, he's got a massive left hand. You got to respect that left hand. And I know Dusko fights with his hands down, and eventually that's going to catch up to him. I just don't think now at 26 years old is going to be the time that he gets caught. I think it's going to be sometime down the line. So I really think that Punahele's only chance to win this fight is that big left hand, which he's knocked a lot of people out with. But we saw in that Jamie Pickett fight that if he gets extended, he's the guy that's huffing and puffing. And cardio's never been in question when you talk about a guy like Dusko Todorovic, man. So I think Dusko is actually going to come out here, weather this early storm. Then I think he's going to put it on Punahele Soriano. I think he's going to put it on him for real, man. I think we're going to be talking about this kid as a future top 15 guy. So I'm going Dusko Todorovic here pretty decisively too, Shaq.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's a good fight, man. I feel like Punahele is, you know, in this specific spot, I kind of do think he's kind of getting what's the word, underappreciated a little bit. I mean, I don't want to make any or full judgments on Puna. He's got less than how many fights? 7, 6, 8, something like that. I mean, he's very inexperienced. I understand he had some concussion problems, the labrum issue, but man, I see big explosiveness in this kid to where the point where the margin of error, Dusko does like to press against the cage, but man, I don't know if he's gonna approach it like how he's been approaching his other fights, against these guys that he's been fighting. Look, I definitely think Dusko's more well-rounded in terms of overall skills, like grappling, clinch, all that good stuff. It's just that Punahele is a different beast than these guys, as in one of those left hands spark you on the chin, and now let's see if you're that eager to engage and eager to impress, to press against the fence. Daquan Townsend, everyone has their way with Daquan Townsend, you know what I'm saying? And Teddy Ash and these guys. But Puna, yeah, the cardio is a big concern. I mean, the Jamie Pickett fight. But man, it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, he did gas out and he was swinging heavy and big. But man, he was so young. I don't want to say. I still think the kid's a killer, like Dana White said that night. I just think he needs more round time, more cage time. So yeah, I think Dusko is more well-rounded, and what I'm struggling with here is the price. I do feel like the price is a bit disrespectful. I feel like, look, you can get off on and press and work against those type of guys, but those guys have nothing coming back. I feel like Punahele has something coming back, just a different type of athlete, a different type of fighter. Not saying that Dusko's not going to win. I definitely could see him, with the second and third rounds. It's just I could also see Puna sparking him early, So I think it's a dog or pass from a betting perspective, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
Another thing I wanted to bring up that I forgot, not that I think this will have any impact on the fight. I'm not really sure if it will or it won't. But the reason that Puna's been out for so long, he said he's been having some concussion issues. So my boy's been banging in the gym really, really hard, and he's still in his 20s, man. You don't like to see guys in their 20s with concussion issues. Also had a torn labrum as well. So let's see how he rebounds from all that. I'm very curious to see. Now, also in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between the viral sensation Joaquin Buckley is 12-3, and Italy's non-ranked middleweight Alessio Di Chirico is 12-5. Currently, they got Joaquin Buckley minus 270. The comeback on Alessio Di Chirico is plus 230. Man, Joaquin's been doing his thing since that viral knockout. He was able to top that off with a nice little knockout against Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, destroyed him. Now he's got Italy's own Alessio Di Chirico. Look, Mick Maynard runs the middleweight division. And I think he knows he's got something on his hands here with Buckley. You think he's I know he's trying to test him with Alessio, but I mean, do you think Alessio you think Alessio is going to beat him? Because I mean, I don't know, man. Buckley's been throwing some heat.
Yeah, man. I think Alessio's days are done in this company, man. I feel like he's just hasn't improved. At one point, I thought Alessio was not a prospect, but an underrated guy. Like around the times he was fighting Marquez and who else did he fight? But I can't forget about the Eric Spicely fight. I mean, he's shown several signs of jobberness. I mean, the Gareth McClellan fight. Which he barely won. I mean, Alessio's issues, I mean, they're just they never change. It's always something, he doesn't throw enough. He fought tough, against Mahmoud and Holland, but he didn't do enough. And then this last fight with Cummings, and I get it, he's been fighting better competition of some sorts for sure, but it's like it's the same issue, man. It's like even the first round, which we all think he won, one of the judges scored that round for Cummings. Like this guy, Alessio's one of those guys where you think he won a round, but he didn't. Trust me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's like one of those guys. Like you're like, I think Alessio won that round. And be like, trust me, no, he didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like this guy just can't get anywhere, man. And I just feel like he's one of those guys. Now, his last fight with Cummings, he already is a little gun shy, and he was actually aggressive in that fight. And I thought that was a prime spot for him to capitalize on. I got a lot of respect for Zach, but solid fighter. But I just think he also kind of in a similar boat. Like he wins when he has to, like a aging competitor. I thought that was a good spot for Alessio to come in and get the win, man. Had fought tough with Muradov and Holland. Some people arguably thought he even won those fights. And and after, these decisions are ready, he keeps putting his hands up like, what? I won that fight. And it's like, no, you didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Remember when he tried to fight Kevin after the fight?
Yeah, that shit and, all that good stuff. And he thought he won that fight. Like, they were in outrage. You know what I'm saying? They were like, Kevin quit the entire time. I mean, I was like, Kevin beat you with one shoulder, bro. But, yeah, anyways, man. Yeah, Joaquin, I'm not saying Joaquin's this future champ or not, because I don't think he's that. I don't think he's even – I don't even think he's future top 15 yet. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I think as he climbs up, he'll probably run into trouble. But in terms of this particular matchup, man, I just think there's too much momentum for a guy like Alessio Di Chirico to stop. I think Joaquin Buckley, this is what we call a setup fight. This is Alessio's last fight on his contract, and let's give him a knockout loss on his way out of here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, Joaquin's more aggressive. He throws more volume. He's the more hungry fighter. Alessio's fighting for his job, but he's got decent boxing, but he's just slower and he doesn't throw enough. And I just feel like Joaquin wants it more, and maybe I'm talking more about intangibles than I am skills. So we'll see. Alessio, I'm not saying I don't think he sucks at all. Like, I think Alessio's a decent fighter. Yeah, he's a decent fighter. It's just mental. It's like this kid doesn't have that it's a go for it in a fight, man. It's all like, he holds back, and after the way that last fight ended, I'm expecting them to even hold back even more. So I'm going to go with Joaquin Buckley to pretty much just, I don't want to say punk him out, but just, throw more punches, be more aggressive, just outwork him. One thing you can say about Joaquin, yeah, he might be basic with the way he fights and, he ducks and chucks and he swings. But his last fight, man, I liked his footwork. I thought his footwork looked a lot better. A lot of people were saying Jordan Wright was live going into that fight, man. And Joaquin Buckley, stiffened him up very nicely. And, yeah, Kasaganai might have been a little overrated. But, I mean, you ever seen anyone get a kick caught and spinning? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going with Joaquin Buckley with the win here this weekend by decision or knockout.
I think Shaq just introduced a new half the battle term, duck and chuck. I like that. We're going to have to be using that from here on out. But listen, I'll tell you what Alessio's path to victory is. He's got some pretty sharp counters. So, I mean, listen, Joaquin's going to have to close that distance. Joaquin's the much shorter guy. And Alessio is probably going to be backing up. Alessio's got some sharp counters, man. Even in that Zach Cummings fight, which it really came down to the wire, man. Like, had that knockdown never happened, it might have been like a split decision. But that knockdown did happen, so it wasn't a split decision, But the whole 13 or 14 minutes up until that knockdown, I mean, Alessio does have some good counters, man. His hands aren't bad, and he throws very hard. So if Joaquin gets a little cocky, if Joaquin drops his hands, Joaquin could get caught in this fight, is all I'm saying. But that being said, if that does not happen, I do agree with you. Joaquin's going to outwork him. He simply throws at a much higher pace, a much higher rate. Also has devastating knockout power too, so might even put him down as well. But if it goes to decision, I still got Joaquin. So, yeah, I'll go with Buckley. And I like what he's been doing, man. That camp, ever since he's been going to Michigan, he's been training with Jamal Hill. He's been training with Chaos Williams. Like, you see the kind of work those guys have been putting in. They got a good thing going on over there. I'm happy to see it. So I think he builds off that momentum. And I don't think Mick Maynard is trying to get Joaquin Buckley a loss here. I think Mick Maynard knows exactly what he's doing. I think he looked through his roster. I think he thought that Alessio Di Chirico was the perfect next step for Joaquin Buckley. And that's why he made this fight. So I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with Mick Maynard. I'm gonna go with Joaquin Buckley to get this done. Oh man, I'm very excited to talk about this. Next up in the welterweight division, we got the return of Santiago Genchiboa Ponzinibbio. He's 27-3. Actually, he changed his nickname, Shaq. It's Santiago the Argentine Dagger Ponzinibbio. That's his new nickname. He's taking on Lee the Leash Jingliang, who's 17-6. Currently, they got Santiago minus 300. The comeback on Lee is plus 250. Man, it was a bummer when Santiago originally left because I thought he was one of the most underrated guys in the welterweight division.
I mean, they were saying Ponz was the dark horse.
I was saying that straight up. I mean, listen,
they were saying he was going to beat Usman. You remember he had a fight with Usman?
I remember that. And not only were we saying that, but back when he had his last fight, Tyron Woodley was the champion. And I was saying for the longest time that, Ponz is the guy that can come out here and dethrone Tyron Woodley. And unfortunately, that fight never happened. But I still feel like if they were to get matched up, that Ponz would absolutely mop the floor. He would mop the floor with Tyron. You know what I'm saying? And
take Jingliang out. Woodley. Then Woodley's next.
so here's the thing: Ponz has been going through some shit, and it's really disgusting when I hear or when I see people talk about how Ponz, he's been sitting out, he's been inactive. Like people talk shit about Ponz, guys. He had a viral infection where, and I'm not talking about no COVID or nothing. I'm talking about pre-COVID. He had an infection where, he lost all his muscle mass. Doctors told him he might never fight again. He even thought about dropping 155 pounds, and we're talking about a big welterweight in Santiago Ponzinibbio. So, man, that shit is very alarming. You know what I mean? But that being said, if he's anything like what he once was, or even a better version, I mean, he's a top 5, top 10 guy in the welterweight division right now. It's just, are we going to get the same Ponz? So I want to see on the scale how he looks. If he's looking like Ponz, then he's going to go out there and perform like Ponz. If he really lost all his muscle mass and he's out there looking flabby on the scales, then I'm not too interested. But this fight ain't about Li Jingliang. This fight's all about Santiago Ponzinibbio. What Ponzinibbio are we going to get Saturday night? Because we get the real Ponz. He's so much better. I mean, his calf kick game is one of the best calf kick games in the entire sport. His straight right, one of the best straight rights in the entire sport. His cardio is on point. I mean, had he not beat Magny via 4th round knockout, had it been like a 3-round fight, that would have been like 30-26, 30-25. So he's got the cardio to push all 3 rounds hard. One thing about Li Jingliang, he hits extremely hard. And that's about the extent of it. You know what I mean? He's a very hard hitter. But, man, he's been knocked down 5 times in his UFC career. Santiago's knocked 9 people down or has landed 9 knockdowns in his UFC career. I just think that if we're getting the same Ponz, man, he's going to set him up with the calf kicks, eventually go upstairs with a straight right. Everybody drops Lee, except when you get dropped by Ponz, that might be the beginning of the end. Yeah, I got Santiago Ponzinibbio here, but let's pay attention Friday, see how he looks on the scales, and if it's the same Ponz, then I definitely got him here.
Yeah, this is all based on if we get the same Ponz. I mean, look, I'm gonna guess that we're not getting the same Ponz. I'll go ahead in there and say it because from what I heard, man, the shit was pretty serious. So one thing I've been learning when these people say they've been having these big health issues, you got to take it into account. I mean, it is what it is, but not saying that he doesn't. They gave him a tune-up fight, a guy that's outside of the rankings to come back with and to see where he is. But I am expecting a different Ponz, and I'll go ahead and say I think he's a great fighter, but I don't think he was top 5, top 10, yeah, but I don't think he was top 5. Magny, he definitely, that's a good watermark test, and he definitely passed that, but that was kind of where it ended. So, and it's unfortunate. It's not his fault, But yeah, I think Ponz, well, at the best version of Ponz, I feel like he's a guy that puts pressure on him, good footwork, good hands. But, he does get hit a lot. His face is bloody, pretty much in all of his fights. I mean, to say he doesn't take damage, I would definitely be lying. It's just that the guy he's fighting this time is notorious for that. I mean, what do you know about Li Jingliang? I mean, Keitaro hurt him, Bobby Nash hurt him, Camacho hurt him, Matthews hurt him. Who else hurt him? Magny hurt him. Zawada dropped him. I mean, everyone dropped Lee. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel like Lee's best, his career pretty much is holding on to that win over Elizu in China. And I feel like that was, he just had so much momentum. I mean, look at that crowd was going crazy that night, man. It was like when they fought in Sacramento. I mean, it's like, it was just too much energy in the building for someone to stop. So, Magny, I do feel like has evolved since he's been out on his break. So, and to play Lee at chalk in that line was kind of foolish. You know what happens when you play Li Jingliang at chalk. He gets his ass. He gets his
Trust
ass.
me, I know.
Play Li Jingliang at chalk, he's getting his ass whooped, guaranteed. So, I feel like, Yeah, I am expecting a different punch. Look, I mean, he's either going to be slightly more hesitant just because he hasn't been fought. He hasn't fought in a while. So I'm gonna say, does the slightly more hesitant Ponzinibbio still beat Li Jingliang? Yeah, but should I be paying minus 300? Is his chin gonna be the same? Because I do think Pons is a little chinny even when he was at his before this injury. But like you said, Lee can crack. I mean, he is aggressive. He still has never been finished, which is quite amazing to me with the amount of times this kid's recoverability is something else, man. This kid gets floored and then he just wakes back up. It's like, holy shit. But so he's still never been actually knocked out. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go with Pons just because I think he's the better fighter. But we'll see, man, because those are big health concerns. And I do feel like Magny evolved a bit, but you got to understand, Ponzinibbio absolutely mopped the floor with Neil Magny. So, I will always pick him for the win. But, man, I'm interested to see how he looks, man, because, I actually like this fight a lot better than the Muslim Salikov fight. I was thinking the Muslim Salikov fight was playing with big danger for him because, his timing, might be a little bit off. And, Salikov's got good timing. So we'll see, but I'll go with Ponzinibbio. But I'm interested to see if this is like one of those spots where Lee's getting so counted out because we've seen him perform at Big Dog Gods before. So we'll see.
We have, but we got to mention those fights were in China. You know what I mean? Not to say that
in China, they were in China. They were in China.
Not to say that he can't win outside of China, but I have noticed that flight takes a lot out of Lee, and the flight from Beijing to Abu Dhabi, I looked it up. It's over 9 hours. So initially,
he ain't been in China. He's been with Chaonan. They've been up in Alpha Male.
Oh, so he's going from the U.S. to Abu Dhabi. That's even a longer flight. Yeah. So you know what I mean. Li Jingliang doesn't do good with those long flights. When he beat Zaleski, it was Zaleski that had to take the long flight. And I'm not going to discredit that win, but what I will say is that Ponzinibbio's got way better hands than Zaleski. Zaleski's got amazing kicks and a good ground game. But Ponzinibbio's got some of the sharpest hands at 170, so I think it's a different story. I think, unlike Zaleski, I think Ponzinibbio can box with Jingliang and beat him in that area of the game. So let's see how he looks Friday on the scales. I need to know this. And after that, we'll take it from there. Co-main event of the evening, also in the welterweight division. Finally, Shaq, we've been waiting 10 years for this fight. Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. We got Carlos, the natural-born killer. He's 31-13, and Matt the Immortal Brown is 22-17. Currently, they got Carlos Condit minus 165. The comeback on Matt Brown is plus 145. Man, I know Shaq remembers when they were supposed to fight on Fox a long-ass time ago, 10 years ago, and that face-off they had was so intense. It was just a shame that the fight never came to fruition. Now I know they're both kind of past their prime, but it's better late than never. You know what I mean, Shaq? And listen, Carlos Condit finally coming off a win. I picked him to beat Court McGee. He went out there, defeated him. And Matt Brown actually fought one of the top prospects at welterweight, and Miguel Baeza even got a knockdown, or at least hurt him in that fight, knocked his mouthpiece out. So, man, what do you think about this welterweight showdown between two legends of the welterweight division in Brown and Condit?
Man, at first I was actually pretty confident in Brown. Then I started watching more tape. Man, it's tough because Carlos, I have a feeling that throughout the 15 minutes that if this goes to decision, it's probably gonna more lean in Carlos's favor. He likes to dance, look pretty on the outside now. He's more of a point fighter style now. And this is a fight where he probably ain't gonna have to wrestle. You know what I'm saying? You know what Carlos's kryptonite is a good old double leg. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think Matt's gonna shoot?
I mean, he could. I mean, that would be smart. But the Matt Brown I know is kill or be killed. It's either we're knocking this fucker out or we're gonna get knocked out. So I mean, Matt Brown, man, when you really look at it, I don't want to say, I mean, look, he's second overall in KOs in UFC history. So
wait, but he's first in welterweight history.
Yeah,
right?
first, but just second in overall history in KOs. So, which is an incredible achievement. So we know what type of. I mean, Matt Brown hurts a lot of people, and I really wasn't impressed with Carlos's fight with Corey McGee. I just thought I considered it a 15-minute workout. A 15-minute little pad session. Because Corey McGee was out there trading kicks on the outside, not pressing, not. Court McGee should be cut. I mean, Court McGee lost to Ben Saunders, so that's all I really have to say there. So I mean, I want to say, yeah, Carlos is back, but bro, he ain't back. He looked sloppy in the pocket. It just Court really didn't give me enough to make a judgment as where is Carlos going to go. His body looks good though. I'll say it definitely looks a lot better than Matt's. Matt's body looks old, and his body, you can see it. I mean, his body looks like he just had a surgery, you know what I'm saying? As where Carlos is, he looked fresh. I mean, he looks more healthier. As far as who's aggressive, who's going to push forward, we know Matt's going to do that. And I'm interested to see if he can hurt Carlos on the feet. Because Carlos has never been TKO'd, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like, by punches.
Besides the Woodley fight, no.
Yeah, so he does have a good chin, and so, man, I actually might have to switch my pick to Carlos by decision. I'm cheering for Matt though, because I actually thought Matt looked really good his last fight. It's just, once Miguel sparks you on the chin like that, it's probably game over, man. But coming off that at his age, I just kind of slightly probably gotta go lean with Carlos Condit. But from a betting perspective, I do think it's dog or pass. I mean, Corey McGee just didn't test him enough, in my opinion, for me to say like, oh, Carlos can beat these guys. Corey McGee. I mean, I don't even think Corey McGee can win an NFC title, and that's just the honest truth about it. So, we'll see. But I would say, I think Carlos is going to try to hit and run. I think this is like, remember the Nick Diaz fight? How everyone thought it was going to be this war, and they're going to stand and trade. I have a feeling Carlos is going to be tipping and running all night, and he's going to be trying to make this a Jackson Wink point style type fest. So we'll see, but I'll go with Carlos by decision.
You're saying the fight between Carlos Condit and Corey McGee was a little Saturday night sweat sesh?
Yeah, a 15-minute workout, a little pad session with six guns. You know what I'm saying? A little sparring, a little light sparring.
A little Saturday night drip. I mean, listen, Matt, both these guys are legends, man. Matt Brown, first man to ever beat Wonder Boy, first man to ever beat Douglas Lima. Had that amazing war with Robbie Lawler. I already fucked Douglas up so bad too, man. I heard it was up in Kennesaw, up in a basement or some shit, like because it was a long time ago, right? Like a long time ago. Oh yeah, it's a great fight. He TKO'd Douglas Lima. Y'all should check that fight out because it was a war, man. It was
they took the fight off. They took the fight offline, right?
Oh, did they? I don't remember, but sure I know we got to see it, so it was amazing. Tough. So, I mean, like I said, Matt Brown beat Wonder Boy, beat Douglas Lima, had that amazing fight with Robbie Lawler. Carlos also had an amazing fight with Robbie Lawler. Carlos touched interim gold. Both these guys are legends. Oh, man, when they were supposed to fight 10 years ago, I was actually going to pick Matt Brown. That's when he was kind of at the height of that win streak that he was on, looking the best he's ever looked. And one thing about Condit is he takes a little bit of unnecessary damage. But, one guy takes too many shots and the other guy doesn't react as well to the shots. Matt Brown, historically speaking, you know what happens when you hit Matt Brown to the body. I know Shaq knows damn well. We were in attendance for that Jake Ellenberger fight.
That was sad. That was a sad night, man.
It was sad because Jake was ready to go home.
I couldn't believe Matt did that. I was like, dude, what the fuck?
it was crazy, man. So, yeah, I see this being a fun fight. I know what you're saying, that Carlos might come out here and just try to avoid him and try to point him up a little bit. I could see that happening. So I'd say Condit has the durability edge, but I think the output might go to Brown. And speaking of takedowns, I know Brown ain't known for shooting a lot of takedowns, but actually his last win against Ben Saunders, he did land 2 takedowns in that fight. I know Ben Saunders, but so what?
You can't count those, bro. You can't.
Condit can't stuff a takedown either.
You can't count.
Condit can't stuff a takedown either. So, I mean,
if Carlos fought Ben Saunders, he'd have 2 takedowns too.
Condit would get another head kick knockout there. Ben Saunders been turning down fights on the regional scene. Don't say against 2, but he's been.
I mean, if I was close to him, I'd turn down fights too. Ben shouldn't be fighting.
You turned down that fight that Ben got offered. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that one, I wouldn't turn that one down because he's not equally as bad, but just he is, in a bad spot as well. So with his health at least, so
But anyways, back to this. This is a tough fight for me to call. Both guys past their prime. I was picking Matt Brown 10 years ago. He was the underdog 10 years ago. I'll pick him again here. Obviously, you can tell it's not the most confident pick. You all know when I'm super confident. Go listen to my Jamal Hill breakdown against OSB. Here, I'm not sure. I think it's a 50-50 fight. So since it is, I'll take the plus 145 dog. I'll go with Matt Brown. And I just can't wait to sit back as a fan, watch these two legends, two of my all-time favorite welterweights, two all-violence guys just go at it. And hopefully it's an exciting fight. So let's see. Main event of the evening. Here we go, Shaq. Featherweight division. We got the former champ, or as many people like to refer to him as, the uncrowned champ. We got Max Holloway. He's 21-6. He's taking on Calvin Kattar, the Boston finisher, who's 22-4. Currently, they got Max Holloway minus 150. The comeback on Calvin Kattar's plus 130. So it's funny. I don't know if you heard the talk between the two, but Calvin basically said that, a lot of people are talking like, he's like Max is, the not the elder, but like, the guy who's been here more. And Calvin was like, if we were in high school, I'd be a senior and he'd be a freshman and I'd treat him like a freshman. So what do you think about this main event fight? Because obviously we know Max has incredible volume. He's so confident. He's so confident to a point where like, even if he's losing, he can make you feel like he's winning. Calvin, some of the best boxing at 145. And I've known about Calvin since day one. I remember when he fought Feely, I was like, do not lay that chalk on Feely in this spot. This guy is legit. Turns out I was right. Here's his chance. He wins this fight. He's right up there. But Max wins this fight. He's right up there too. So what do you think, man? Amazing main event.
Yeah, tough fight, man. Tough fight because Calvin stumbled in these spots before. He has fallen short when against Embiid and Moicano. Those are only two losses, right? He beat Moicano
in the UFC.
Yeah, so it's not that bad. Holloway, look, I've been one of the few people. I've made a lot of money fading Holloway, man. I mean, it's been a fade Holloway party over here. You know what I'm saying? But look, I do think he's on the decline now. How much of a decline? Look, in his last fight, that was pretty much, he lost that fight pretty much based off his ego. And I feel like he's been having like an ego crisis as of late, Dan, like for a while now. Like, he's not with what's his name? Sucker Punch anymore.
Oh yeah. I thought you were about to say Ivan Flores. I was about to be like, holy shit.
Nah, but but still, like Sucker Punch and him, they were like,
they're both Hawaiian, so something went down.
So, like, and from what I heard, I don't know, I'm not gonna get into it, but that mixed in with the Dustin Poirier fight was, he definitely, I was there. I pretty much everyone thought he lost, but Max at the time didn't think he lost. So, and then, that fight afterwards, I actually bet on him against Frankie Edgar thinking, just knock him out real quick. But, he couldn't, I just wasn't that impressed with the performance, man. Like, maybe he was in first gear. So, maybe he really wasn't trying. Maybe, who knows. But he still won every round. So how much can I knock him? But, his fights with Volkanovski, especially the last one, I feel like had this kid, like, in between the first and second round, he's doing all this shit, like, doing the Matumbo finger and
he was talking to the commentators.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, chill. Like he's been so upset about this, like, of these last few fights. Like I still feel like he's kind of holding on to these losses. Like, I don't know what it is, but like he's upset about it. And I don't know if he's not getting paid enough or like, I don't know what it is, but it's like the first fight with Volkanovski, you clearly lost. Like that is not even, a choice. So this next one, yeah, it was close, but he pulled what I call the old Masvidal. You remember when Masvidal would get up 2 rounds and then just stop fighting? You know what I'm saying? He pulled the Angela Hill as what I like to call it. You know what I'm saying? You get up early and then you stop fighting. You know what I'm saying? And then you complain about a split decision. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he made a big mistake in that after the second round. I think he did get a little fatigued. I mean, he's doing all these extra antics. Had his emotions been in check a little bit, he probably would have won that third round a little more decisively and probably would have won the decision. But then it led into the championship rounds where he got absolutely outclassed, which leads me to believe that Max Holloway might no longer be a championship level fighter, man. I mean, I know he did just finish Brian Ortega not too long ago, who's the number one contender, but I don't think it's the same Brian Ortega. So, has Max Holloway truly evolved like some of these other guys? We know he's got the volume, but I still see a guy that's taking a lot of punishment in his fights. He drops his hands after he throws. I mean, that was things that we've been picking up on for a while, going into the Poirier fight and things like that. So I actually think Holloway is more on a decline than people think. It's just, look, what I learned a lot last year is, man, there's still levels to this, man. Holloway still, when I'm referring to that last fight, it was emotions, which I feel like lost in that fight, headspace, his attitude, I feel like that's what, not skills. I think those are the things. I feel like maybe if he has a reset and really gets to the bottom of what's he's been so upset about, over the last year or so, then maybe he can come out here and get a win and get back in the title contention, man. But, I still see interviews where he's saying, where Nate Diaz and Dustin and Gaethje and all these dudes hit him up after the fight, telling him that he won and stuff like that. It's, yeah, Max, we all love you, and we feel bad, but man, oh man, I feel like the stock on Max Holloway is as low as it's ever been. And Calvin, look, I'm struggling with Calvin, man, because I've been a fan of this guy, since the Philly fight. And, I've never, like, when I watch tape on him, I think the guy's great, top 5, 6, 4, whatever you want to say. But my gut feeling tells me that he's not a legitimate threat to the title. And he's got the opportunity to come out here on Saturday and prove everyone wrong with the knockout win. But, man, that Dan Ige fight, I thought he could have looked a little better. I know Ige's a tough guy, and Ige kind of did play like he was kind of running away a little bit and kind of not engaging because, I mean, every time they did engage. But, I mean, Ige bloodied up his nose a lot, and I feel like Calvin sometimes gets into this thing where the volume is a little bit of an issue for him. Dudes can press him back, where the Burgos fight, he got pressed back in the second round. He was able to come back and get the knockout, but, dudes, Moicano pressed him back. Even, Sharipov, even Jeremy Stevens for little portions, but I feel like, maybe against a more measured, a little bit more experienced guy in those championship rounds, a more experienced guy in just big fights in general, that maybe Calvin will fall up short again, man. So, I liked it when this price was up, like around like 180, 170, 160, up in that range, but now I feel like some of the value is kind of gone. I still lean Max, man. I'm not going to lie. I do think he throws more punches, and I do think that if he has that mental, reset, or I do see him throwing more punches and getting the Calvin late, man. I just feel like Calvin's a little bit, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but like I just feel like to beat some of the higher level guys, you're gonna need more than just those classic boxing combinations. So look, they're great, 100%. But the reason why I feel like Volkanovski has this edge over him is the feints, man, and just the work rate of the feints. Feints are really simple. People might just think it's a feint, but like when you're constantly feinting and reacting, it's hard to fight a guy. Like that's why Jose Aldo, when he fought him, he couldn't even throw a punch. He was like, he didn't know where the hell what was happening, man. So I see Calvin as a notch down from guys like Volkanovski and Poirier. Not saying that he can't get the win, but just from a betting perspective, I do think some of the value's gone. But I'll take Holloway for the win. But I don't blame you for taking that dog shot, man. It's Calvin. You got a good price. It's just I still think Holloway's the better fighter.
Man, such a fantastic fight. Firstly, I'm really happy to see Calvin Kattar in 5-round fights because he's one of these guys. He's always been criticized for that slow start. But you know who else is criticized for the slow start? Max Holloway as well, even though his last fight, he won the first 2 rounds. But if we really examine that Volkanovski fight, the second one, so it wasn't one-way traffic until the knockdowns, basically. So I actually thought the first and second round were super close. It's just that Max clearly edged it by knocking him down. So when he got those knockdowns, it's clear as day, hey, this was a 50-50 round, but you got the knockdown, so this round goes to you. The way people make it seem, though, is that Max was just out there landing every single shot at will, doing whatever he wanted to him, and that just wasn't the case, man. The first 2 rounds were close as hell. He edged it with the knockdowns, and all he really had to do to win the fight, Shaq, not to act like it's some simple task to defeat Alexander the Great Volkanovski, but one more round of focus and concentration, and he seals 3 rounds in the bag.
I think it was emotions. Emotions got the best of him. And
instead, he's going out there to John Anik, and it's like, shh, dude, John Anik's the commentator, who gives a fuck, who cares? Basically, what Max was doing was being shush, don't count me out. Everybody's been writing me off. And it's dude, the fight ain't over yet. Do all the after the fight. Once you win the fight, that's when you do all that kind of trash talk type stuff and all the signals and the hand gestures. But his ego got the best of him. And here with Calvin, it's tough because you do bring up a good point. Calvin has, he does take some shots as well. But one thing that Calvin does bring to the table that's really damn important, I've noticed, if you look at the stats, the only guys that have beat Max Holloway lately are guys that land at least 5 significant strikes per minute. I mean, we're talking about Dustin Poirier, who lands way over that, and Alex Volkanovski, who lands way over that. All these other guys that Max has been beating all land below 5 significant strikes per minute. Calvin Kattar is right above the 5 significant strikes per minute mark. So that's good. That's good. We need that. What I'm saying is he's not going to match the actual volume of a guy like Holloway, but he throws enough to where if he can get off on a couple power shots, that might actually sway the judges. And what I mean by that is if Max might land a couple more shots per round, but if Calvin can get Max to wobble or Calvin can get a couple big moments, he can sway the judges that way. It's just if he backs into the fence, covers up, and starts letting Max truly tee off on him, that's where Max can really gain momentum and kind of run away with this thing. So it's a tough one to call, but usually when fights are tough, I got to go with the dog here. I don't think that Max is declining. I mean, he's only 29 years old. That being said, though, he has eaten over 900 significant head strikes in his career, which is a lot. And the thing is, he's Hawaiian. Hawaiians have insane chins. You remember back when BJ Penn was the man, even when he was on his skid, the whole thing with BJ Penn was never been knocked down, never been knocked out, right? Until he finally did get knocked down and knocked out. So right now, Max Holloway is riding the I'm Hawaiian, I've never been knocked down or knocked out type thing, which is great. It's just, is that going to keep happening every fight? Because it's you took Poirier's shots, which Poirier is one of the hardest hitters in the history of the lightweight division. You took Volk's shots, which we know Volk can knock a lot of people out. How many more times can he come out here and keep eating these shots without going down? Now, I'm not saying Saturday night's going to be the first time he goes down, because I actually thought Volk was going to put him down the second time. That didn't happen either. So I'm not going to write off Max's chin. His chin is too insane. But the path to victory I see for Kattar is not necessarily trying to keep up with the volume, but trying to land the harder shots throughout the 5-round duration, sway the judges that way. If the knockout comes, it comes. If not, land the harder shots throughout the 5 rounds. It's a tough fight to call. I'm not counting out Max. I think he's a legend. I love him. But I've been high on Kattar for a reason, and sometimes these guys rise to the occasion. I know the Zabit fight didn't go his way, but I think a lot of you guys can agree with me that he kind of got the short end of the stick in the sense that they were originally supposed to fight for 5 rounds in Boston. Then the fight got moved to Russia and it was only 3 rounds. So he didn't get those extra 2 rounds that main event fighters are, they're often a luxury they're often afforded. He didn't get that luxury. So who knows what would have happened if it would have been another 2 rounds. The Moicano fight, there's no excuse. Even if that was another 2 rounds, he still would have lost. but I think he's gotten a lot better since then. That was only his third UFC fight. I mean, Max Holloway was losing fights back in, when he was only a couple fights into his UFC career. I mean, I know y'all remember Dennis Bermudez beat him, even though we all thought Max won. So listen, he's taking his licks. I think he's come back better. I think this is a good spot for him to rise to the occasion. It's going to be tough, though, because Max will not go down without a fight. Max is going to be there. Max is going to be trying. And like I said, Max's confidence, you'll start taunting serious guys like Volkanovski, and he has such confidence in himself that it'll make you believe that he's winning the fight. But he eats too many clean shots. I'm not sure Calvin's a guy you want to eat clean shots against. So I'm going to go with Calvin for the upset, and let's see what happens. Now we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So the fight to watch for UFC Fight Island 7. Let me take it first, Shaq. I got to go with Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Li Jingliang. I mean, neither of these guys have ever been in a boring fight. And in addition to that, I want to know where Santiago Ponzinibbio lies in the welterweight division after his fucking 2-year layoff. You know what I'm saying, Shaq? So I got to go with Ponzinibbio versus Lee. Two exciting guys. That's my fight to watch. What's your fight to watch?
Yeah, my fight to watch is Omari versus Breese, man, because Breese is this guy that they've been trying to hype this guy and push him on us for so long. I know they need dudes out of England to take over for Bisping, because I hear they're trying to set up another England boy by the name of Leon Edwards. You know what I'm saying? So Breeze has an opportunity, man. Omari's top 15, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So if he wins this fight, this will be a nice little rebound from the Brendan Allen stunt, and Tom Breeze would have finally lived up to his potential. But Omari. Omari's a real Russian gangster, man. Omari's going to bring it. He comes to fight every single time, man. He's been a part of more than one fight of the night. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
For me, my fighter to watch is Dusko Todorovic. A lot of people think this is a very close fight. I kind of don't, but I'm curious to see if I'm right or I'm wrong about that. Like, I want to know if Dusko is going to come out here, make this not look easy, but like just outclass him and show a difference in like, hey, I'm a future top 15 guy. This is why. I want to know if he's going to go out there and have that performance. He's got that vibe about him. He's got that aura. He's got the whole gym dedicated just to him. I like what this kid brings to the table. He's got the proper experience outside the UFC. He's a dog. He's got the will to win. He's extremely smart. He's intelligent. You hear him talk, you're like, God damn, this kid's got some IQ. Dusko Todorovic is my fighter to watch. I'm very curious to see how he handles this extremely tough test in Punahele Soriano. Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for UFC Fight Island 7?
Yeah, my fighter to watch. My fighter to watch will be, I'll say Joaquin Buckley, man, just because, I think at this point, every time the fans tune in, we're expecting somebody unconscious, when he fights, you know what I'm saying? So, I want to see if he can live up, for 3 times in a row. If he wins this fight, not that I think the Krause fight's out of the question. I don't think they don't want to do that. But I think if he knocks out Alessio or just even gets a win, like, man, the sky's the limit for Joaquin Buckley, man, in 2021. Because that'll be what, 3 straight wins over an undefeated guy, Alessio, who's a respectable, and Jordan Wright, who I believe was undefeated. Well, not really undefeated, but he was undefeated. But he was undefeated. But Fluffy, they took the win away. But I think if he gets this win, man, you can see him in some good matchups for 2021. Who you got between? I want to see, Joaquin versus Darren Stewart, Joaquin versus you got between Joaquin and Edmund, shit like that. Like Joaquin and there's a lot of good options.
What's Brad Tavares up to?
Brad Tavares has a fight. He's fighting another
Shoeface.
Yeah, Quit Face. Yeah, that's actually a good fight. Quit Face.
Brad's got good takedown defense. So.
Shoeface might actually, Brad looked like complete dog shit his last fight.
Has he fought since the Israel fight?
Yeah, Edmund, and he got knocked out in like a
Oh
minute.
shit, you're right. Fuck,
Yeah.
he's looked bad his last 2 fights. Really
I mean,
bad.
bro, he went into the Izzy fight with like a smorgasbord of injuries, and he thought he was gonna win. Like he got because they gave him like a new contract, like a $40,000 swing or something like that. Fucking
I remember, and it was like -110 a piece. In hindsight, that should have been a max bid on Izzy, but
yeah, I picked him. I picked my boy Izzy.
so good pick. But yeah, so anyways, thank you to everybody for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. It's good to be back in 2021, looking to do some big things this year. So thanks to everybody for your support. Make sure you follow me at Best Fight Picks. Follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Our plays are available at bestfightpicks.com. Make sure you'll subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. We'll be back twice next week because we got 2 events next week. So we'll be doing both those cars. Don't you worry. Going to be going live every single show now. So that's awesome. Thank you all for tuning in with us. And yeah, thank you guys very, very much for your support. Also, I got some written work available at linemovement.com. Make sure you'll check them out. And until the next time, oh, one more thing. Our sponsor, Manscaped. Make sure y'all use that promo code BATTLE20, all caps BATTLE20 at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. Your balls will thank you. And we'll thank you too, because you help out the show by doing that. So if you want to help out Half the Battle, go to Manscaped, use that promo code BATTLE20 for 20% off and free shipping. And thank you guys again. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.